Everyone is welcome to watch this program. If you like us, please click to subscribe directly. Fears for the Queen and Prince Philip as Prince Charles takes positive for coronavirus. 13 days after last seeing his mother, the Queen and Prince Philip face a nervous wait at Windsor Castle after Prince Charles today revealed he has tested positive for coronavirus. The Prince of Wales, 71, has a mild form of the illness and is on the Balmoral estate with his wife, Camilla, the Duchess of Cornwall, who has tested negative and is without any symptoms of the virus, which has killed 435 and inflicted 8,200 more in the UK so far. The Queen and Philip have already travelled to Windsor Castle before the announcement from Clarence House today, after moving to the royal estate last Thursday. A royal source said Charles' doctor's most conservative estimate was that the prince was contagious on March 13 to 24 hours after briefly meeting his 93-year-old mother, the Queen. A Buckingham Palace spokesman said, "Her Majesty remains in good health. The Queen is following all the appropriate advice with regard to her farewell." It is not known if the monarch has been tested for coronavirus, but she is said to be on lockdown and not even close family members can see her. Her weekly meeting with the Prince Minister is being done by phone, rather than in person at Buckingham Palace, where a worker tested positive while the Queen was still in residence last week. The monarch and the Duke of Edinburgh, who was helicoptered to Windsor from Sandringham last Thursday, are being looked after by her two favorite staff, who are part of a skeleton team of just 8. The rest of her 100-plus workers have all been told to go home to protect both the head of state and themselves. Charles' coronavirus was confirmed yesterday, exactly a fortnight after meeting Prince Albert of Monaco, who tested positive 5 days ago, after he sat opposite the Prince of Wales at a water aid event in London on March 10th. A Clarence House spokesman said, "The Prince of Wales has tested positive for coronavirus. He has been displaying mild symptoms, but otherwise remains in good health and has been working from home throughout the last few days as usual." The Duchess of Cornwall has also been tested, but does not have the virus. In accordance with government and medical advice, the Prince and the Duchess are now self-isolating at home in Scotland. The test will be carried out by the NHS in Aberdeenshire, where they met the criteria required for testing. NHS Scotland has said the heir to the throne qualified because of his age and his symptoms. Charles' spokesman said it was impossible to say where he caught it from because of the large number of public engagements he has carried out in recent weeks. But it will raise questions over whether it came from Prince Albert and if the heir to the throne has spread it himself, including to relatives. Charles is said to be happy and calm despite his diagnosis. A royal source told People magazine of Charles and Camilla. Both of them remained in good spirits. There is a sense of keeping calm and carry on. The Duchess is concerned for him, but she is aware of his own good spirits and therefore is keeping a close eye on him and mindful of her own situation. She is upbeat. Mail Online has also plotted the prince's movements over the past 60 days, and he attended at least 6 public engagements meeting hundreds of people. These included a string of Britain's biggest stars at his annual Prince Charles Awards at the Royal Albert Hall 2 weeks ago. The start of the coronavirus 14-day incubation period. The Prince of Wales was last at Buckingham Palace on March 12th to carry out investiture on behalf of the Queen, who he also briefly met. His coronavirus diagnosis will raise fears of the health of elderly royals, including his mother and Prince Philip, 98, who are together at Windsor Castle, especially because of the high death rate among the elderly. Charles is understood not to have seen his father for many weeks, possibly during the Max's crisis talks at Sandringham, where his 98-year-old father was based until he flew by helicopter to Windsor last Thursday. William and Kate are at Amer home in Norfolk, while Harry and Meghan are back in Canada, after both couples saw Charles at the Commonwealth Service at Westminster Abbey on March 9th. At the service, no members of the royal family shook hands, with the prince greeting people with namaste and the Duke of Sussex's elbow bumping Craig Davey. 2 days later, on March 11th, he also met with a string of celebrities at the Prince Charles Awards 2020 in London, attended by Ant and Dec, Philip Schofield, Ferenc Cotton, Pierre Brosnan, Rachel E. Grade, Rolling Stone star Ronnie Wood, X Factor star Fluent East, Dina Asher Smith, and Craig Davey. Arriving at the Prince Charles Awards a fortnight ago, Charles twice attended his hand to great people before withdrawing it at the last minute in mock honor and greeting them with a bow and the Hindi greeting namaste. Turning to Dame Martina Milburn, the trust chef disgusted, the prince said, "It's just so hard to remember not to." On the evening of March 12th, after investiture at Buckingham Palace, the Prince of Wales with the Lord Mayor of the City of London and the High Commissioner for Australia at a Mansion House dinner in London, his last known public engagement. But he did have a number of private meetings with high group and Duchess individuals, all of whom have been made aware of his illness. He flew to Birkhall, his Balmoral home, with Camilla on March 22nd, around the time he started feeling unwell. A small number of people living and working at Birkhall are remaining at the residence and self-isolating. Charles had been displaying mild symptoms over the weekend before being tested on Monday. A royal source has said that medical advice given to the prince is that it is unlikely to escalate into a more serious case. Charles has spoken to his sons, the Duke of Cambridge and the Duke of Sussex, as well as the Queen, since he tested positive in an NHS test yesterday. The Prime Minister's official spokesman said, Boris Johnson was informed about the Prince of Wales' positive test result this morning, and he wishes the Prince a speedy recovery. The spokesman said the Prime Minister's weekly audience with the Queen was now taking place by telephone. I would expect that to be the case later today. It certainly was the case last week as well, the spokesman said. A member of the Scottish Parliament has expressed surprise that the Prince of Wales was tested for COVID-19 on the NHS. John McAlpine, SNP MSP for the South of Scotland, tweeted that she wished Charles a speedy recovery, but added, given that his symptoms are said to be mild, like many, I wonder how he was tested when many NHS and social care workers cannot get tested. My nephew, who has serious asthma and a chest infection, was recently refused a test. Coronavirus. It came after Clarence House said Charles and the Duchess of Cornwall were tested on the NHS in Aberdeenshire, where they are currently staying, as they met the criteria required for testing. It also said Charles is experiencing mild symptoms. The NHS Scotland website says people will only generally be tested for COVID-19 if they have a serious illness that requires admission to hospital.